Alrighty, welcome to part 2 of questioning your beliefs. Today we are going to be looking at some different ways to question your thoughts, question your beliefs. We're going to be giving you some new tools and new techniques so you can feel better and work through any difficult thoughts or feelings. So stay with me, let's get started. So look, we've already been looking at empirical ways of questioning our thoughts and our beliefs, using questions like, is it true? What evidence have I got? What evidence have I got to prove it wrong? What evidence would the opposition have in a court case? What questions would the jury ask? And as I mentioned before, what we're trying to do is we're trying to not prove that it's totally false, but we're trying to prove that it's not 100% true. Can we introduce an element of doubt? If something's 99 or 98% or 90% true, is it totally true? The answer is no. And it's only when we tell ourselves, well, that is totally true, I'm a total failure, I'm totally useless, this is awful, this is really bad. Whatever our rigid belief is, our rigid thought, it's only when we believe it absolutely that it becomes very difficult. When we can begin to introduce an element of doubt, even if it's only partially true, then we can begin to shift those difficult thoughts and feelings. Okay? So the next question we're going to look at today is asking yourself, is your belief helpful? This is what we call a practical question, a pragmatic approach in CBT. Is it helping you move towards your goals? Is it helping you to feel better? This is a really good question. Sometimes we might think, well, look, my belief is true. We might just generally believe that. But ask yourself the question, is it helpful? Is believing that helping you to feel better? Now, most of the time, that belief that you hold will be stressful. It has an effect on your emotions, it has an effect on your body, your somatics, your bodily sensations. So it's not totally helpful. Now, in CBT, we might do something like a cost-benefit analysis. Look at the benefits of holding something, holding a belief. What's in it for me? And what's the cost? How is it not helping me? What's the impact of me having this belief? Now, generally speaking, when you really look at the cost, it can be pretty big. I mean, for example, imagine you have the belief, if I do something, I will get in trouble. And imagine you generally believe that. So let's say you have the belief, I must not make any mistakes. And if I do make a mistake, I'm going to get in trouble. Well, what's the impact of having that belief? How's that going to affect you at work? Are you going to be able to be free to make mistakes and explore and create? No. If you have that belief, you're going to be feeling anxious, you're going to be feeling worried, you're going to be nervous about making mistakes, you're going to be hypersensitive to getting things right or getting things wrong. There is a big impact for that. And if you think you're going to get in trouble when you make mistakes, well, then you're not really going to try, are you? You're going to withhold yourself, you're going to stop going for it, you're going to pull yourself back. There's an impact. And any unhealthy rigid belief that you have, I guarantee you're going to find that there is an impact, there is a cost to you for holding that belief. Maybe you have the belief, if I am vulnerable, then I will get hurt. Now, for sure, we don't know that's true. We don't know that's totally true. You don't have a crystal ball. But also, is it helpful? If you believe that if I'm vulnerable, I'm going to get hurt, so I mustn't be vulnerable, how is that helping you? If anything, it's going to shut you down, move you away from relationships, move you away from being honest with people, move you away from being vulnerable. Now, the payoff, maybe you get to be safe, maybe you get to protect yourself, but there's a cost. And this is the pragmatic approach in CBT. We're looking at, is this a helpful, useful belief? And that's all you need to do at this stage. You just need to ask yourself, is this helping me? Is it useful? And that's as complicated as it gets. When we can bring our awareness to that situation and realize that it's not totally helpful, then we begin to let go of it. So begin asking yourself that question, is this belief helping me? What is the cost to me? What's the impact to me of having this belief? This is a very important part of the process. So far we've covered the empirical argument, is it true, what evidence have I got? And now we're covering the pragmatic argument, is this helpful, is this useful? Okay, very good. Now we're just going to look at a few more questions you can ask yourself that can help you shift those difficult beliefs. Now, one of my favorite questions I like to ask my patients and clients that I work with is, if your friend had this belief, what advice would you give them? Sometimes it's difficult for us to give advice to ourselves, but it's easier for us to give advice to our friends. So ask yourself, if a friend of mine had that belief, what would I say to them? If they came to me with the same situation, with the same emotion and the same belief, what would I say to them? Would you say it's totally true? Or would you say, well, look, that's not actually totally true? Or is that really helping you? Begin to look for reasons why that would be the case. Another good way of looking at it is, if your friend knew you had this belief, if they knew you had this belief, what advice would they give you? It's a different way of looking at it, but again, sometimes our friends can see things that we can't. And maybe they would find some good reasons to tell us why it's not totally true or why it's not totally helpful. Another good one is, imagine looking back at this situation in 5 years. If you look back at the situation in 5 years, would it look different? Like at the moment when you're in this situation, it can be stressful, it can be emotional, it can be difficult. But we are being triggered and we're in that situation right now. How will we look at things over time? In 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years? Things can change. Will we feel differently about it? Will we feel less stressed about it in 5 years? How will our perception have changed? I don't know, but it's a good question to ask. Now we're going to come on to some of the cognitive errors that we make when we're thinking in the next few videos, but one of them is when we jump to conclusions. We only have a limited amount of facts, we only know one or two things, and then we jump to a conclusion. And we say, because I know these two things, I know exactly what's going on. So that's another good question to ask yourself. Are you jumping to conclusions? Do you have all the facts? Do you have everything you need to know? Again, most of the time we don't. There's always more information for us to know. There's always more stuff for us to find out. There's always more details. So we can never really know everything. So just begin to really get into the process of asking questions. It's really good, and you'll find that it can help you not just in your personal life, but in life in general. When you're reading the newspaper, what evidence have they got? Who told them this? When you're listening to news presenters, or when you're at work, learning to question what you believe is fundamental to the journey of self-inquiry. So, listen, well done today. We're going to be digging into some more beliefs in the next few classes. Now you know how to question your beliefs. You know the different questions to use, and begin asking that of the different beliefs that you have. If you got any questions for me, just put them in the chat box beneath the video, and I will see you in the next video.